Right, welcome back. It must be nearly the end of the week or time for a mid-morning coffee break or tea break. So cup of tea and biscuits at hand. Come back. The summary of today's video is, does my opinion matter? And how does my opinion fit in with everyone else's opinions? Because there's always space for a bit of rumbly-tumbly discourse. Right. This is a summary video. Again, if it raises any points of interest, so that someone says, well, how do I even get into Film Armoury? Or there are more specific questions, by all means, stick them down the bottom. I'll try and deal with them. And if we have time, we can do a separate video that then drills more into something that people ask about. Because the pathway into Film Armoury is not, and it absolutely is not, a clear-cut thing. And there's not that many people coming into it at the moment, which generally within production, that's also an issue. You know, who's going to replace me when I'm done? Who's going to replace head of sound? Who's going to replace the lighting guys? Who's going to take over these roles? And this weird world of churn that we've entered, where someone just said, well, you can just have your feature film made in AI and it'll be great. Well, that kind of totally devalues the art and the storytelling element and the skill set, and you can't really trust that this pastiche, this amalgam of all action films is going to work within that format of AI, because you can't, it's like saying, I've got all the ingredients, I want to throw them all into a cement mixer and I'm going to get a beautiful cake at the end. So, production services, how do they fit into the productions? Who's your client? And how do you structure the approach and the billing, etc., etc.? How do you turn your potentially a hobby or something that's gotten a little bit out of hand? How do you turn that into an actual business? So, firstly, you have to identify which sector you're in. The comment that was made where the chap said, I didn't know what I was talking about, he said, you would not see what you're saying in John Wick. So the John Wick franchise, again, to give some context, probably the first one was, let's say, was 30 odd million pounds to produce, and we must be on 4 by now, and the last one probably was in the excess of $100 million to produce and make a 90, 120 minute program. We're not, as a supplier, Armoury isn't in that field, in that realm at all. We operate in the sort of 3 slices of UK film and TV production, which are micro budget, which is up to probably £500,000. It starts at about 50 something thousand pounds, goes up to about £500,000, and there can be video production that takes place, and they make some quite interesting programs. They obviously hope to get picked up by a bigger company. Some of their ideas are then developed. They've put money into it. This used to be the realm of the sell-through video. When we had a thing called Blockbuster Video, there was a shop on the high street and folks would go in and get their action film fix for the weekend and have a great time. We made sell-through videos ourselves, and if you could get the distribution deal done correctly, you could sell 1,000 physical VHSs. That's a lot. I mean, that's basically a big van full of physical tapes that have to be dispatched, and then someone would rent it for a few pounds, boom, give it back, and it would have a life cycle, and that would generate a lot of income in this downstream economy. So later on, we then moved into sell-through DVD market. So you find a niche programming idea, you make your DVD now. It's still a physical thing that goes in a box, of multiples in boxes, and is shipped across the country. And again, the whole Blockbuster scenario was still a thing. And then this gave rise to streaming. And streaming is such an incredibly intriguing mechanism. You can have 1 million TV channels, and as the disposable heroes of hypocrisy said, there's nothing worth watching. So it changes the demarcation zone of where we fit into the food chain. And that's our sort of summary, right? So we've got micro productions up to £500,000, significant amount of money for a nobody, for someone who wants to get into that business. Bloody hell, £500,000, you could buy a pretty good house with that. Then you've got low independent production. This picks up the baton at that point and goes from, let's say £500,000, let's say £1 million, to probably up to £5 million. Again, these will be distribution deals. They would probably end up at a limited cinema release. Some of these ideas are really neat, and you look at programs like Blair Witch. There's that weird one that was a video game that's now been turned into a film that's got a kind of a cult following. Those films would fit into that budget slice. £5 million, significant amount of money to the average bloke in the street. It's more than most folks will ever earn in a lifetime. And then you pick that up and then you go to independent, high value TV, HVTV, and then these usually are picked up as a franchise, or that's what folks will hope, and you'll have multiple seasons of it, and you have now pretty much made it into your pathway, hopefully, to bigger things. After that, it's majors and international studios, and that's a very different ball game, because now you're at the $30 million to $100 million bracket, and for that sort of money, there's a higher level of expectation of what they want. Now it comes to the point where do you fit in that food chain as a supplier? And first of all, how do you even find your way in there? Well, you have to find someone within your department, and then you have to badger away, slowly chip away at it to get trusted with the supply to that. And then you have to significantly over-deliver, prove that you've added value to their stuff, and then hopefully when that person moves to their next role, which should be bigger, or the next feature film of the same or equal size, they'll take you along because you've built up rapport and trust. And that's it. That's all you really need. Then you have your products or offering, and then it's this services parceling. You're bundling it all together. They'll turn around and say, well, we need, let's say, half a dozen handguns and some SBRs, some short-barreled rifles. And you go, well, fair enough. Well, if you book your requirements with us, let's say it's 4 set days, we will bring in our vehicle more stuff that we can use, and we become like a standby props unit, but specifically for firearms. Standby props will have the character boxes. Main character will have, if it's a police drama, will have their ID, will have their whatever their day-to-day is, that we stored in a little box for them and will be managed from scene to scene to scene, because feature film production is not, as a lot of people think, linear. We don't generate opening titles, boom, and then linear produce until we get to the checkered flag at the end, roll credits, we're done. Everything is out of sequence. Let's say we're in a location. Every scene that is in that location is ordered and then rattled out, and then your clapper operator, whatever process they use, well, if it's digital files, they will be then managed by the DIT, the digital ingest technician, who structures it, and you will have your director or assistant director taking loads of notes, because every scene may be shot from multiple angles. Let's say it's a scene that was probably a piece of dialogue between 2 individuals. There could be up to 10, 15 slightly different takes of it. A wide establisher, then they rattle through some more close-up stuff, then you do the individual elements of dialogue, and then you do any other fill-ins where, you know, he's maybe getting a notebook out, or he's typing something into a computer, they are typing into a computer. Yeah. So the scene is constructed of a lot of elements, and then all of that goes to post-production and is turned into your lovely cut with the director's notes as well. And they'll go, oh yeah, it's better if we cut at this point and we go to a close-up of the lady who's talking, because it adds drama, and that's how we flow through the production. So we've talked about budgets, we've talked about your products and services. It's irrespective of what they are. We are all lumped into rental, because everything is a movable feast. We bring stuff in, it's used, we pack it back up, and we take it away. So that's that. Let's go through. Yeah, so the bulk of the costs in a production, let's say we aim at a £500,000 budget. We can split that into 5 bits quite easily, and we'll assign £100,000 to each one. So SLT, senior leadership team, and actors, well, they all want some money, so there's £100,000 in the pot for them. Then we have art department, wardrobe, etc. The dressing, well, they need 100 grand. The equipment, sound, video, lighting, boom, they need 100 grand. Moving people around, locations, stuff, security, they need 100 grand. Post-production, someone's got to turn all of this stuff into the product that we can then, you know, in the old days, put on the shelf, and Joe Schmo would come along and go, oh my God, English gangster film, I love that. That's what I want. That's what I want to watch. So that's your £500,000 pretty much spent. We can drill into the £100,000 a little bit further. Let's say art department, wardrobe, they're £100,000. What's that made of? Okay, well, each department needs their own SLT, senior leadership team, who oversees the production within the brief. The script will have notes on it. We all make our own notes and sort of say, oh yeah, the scene 5, that's the first thing that we're doing on set. Art department's exactly the same. It's broken down into multiple lanes, avenues of what happens if, what do we need there. Everything you see in frame will have been fudged, fiddled around, moved, changed to fit into that production. Sometimes you'll see in the background, you'll see some striations of lighting that suggest there's a window, and a headlight kind of moves past. Yeah, that's not by accident. Someone thought about that, this would look better and would add a little bit more drama to it. So here's your 100 grand for art department, wardrobe, etc. So we're going to split that off. Take that, thank you very much. We will assign, let's say, £30,000 to SLT, because everyone likes to be paid. Leaves 70 grand. We're going to have to buy furniture, odds, ends, you know, stuff, use prop exchange, whatever, to get the tools for our locations, and then dressing. Sometimes you need to buy multiple jackets for the main characters, because obviously we're filming out of sequence, so we may film their demise. Scene 1, their jacket gets torn open, they've been attacked by a bloke with a machete and a machine gun, and this jacket is torn to bits. Well, we still need that jacket, because when we film the start, that jacket still has to be good. So, you know, you may need 5 or 6 pieces of property for each actor. And all of a sudden, you know, that £70,000 that we had left over is rapidly eroding. Let's say we've spent £40,000, which leaves 30 for us, for the Armoury department, for, you know, the bit that isn't special effects, and for the stuff that's kind of in camera. And then we'll get the £30,000. Well, obviously we've got our own SLT, we've got our own senior leadership team, lead armourer, lead consultant, and they'll then read through the going, oh yeah, gangster, 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 gangster. We'll rattle off what we believe, let's say half a dozen guns, And then you've got, oh, good guys, yeah, okay, fair enough. So there's another half dozen guns, but these will be plain black ones because they should be issued firearms, at least bear some kind of reality to where this piece is set and in the correct time lock. As in, is it in the 70s, 80s, 90s, or current, right? So we've got £30,000. Well, out of the £30,000, we've spent 10 grand on labour. It's gone. Oops. And that's before we've even got to set. We've had to think about it. We may have to buy some props in. The mechanics of where that money's gone, that's just gone. That then leaves £20,000. How do we split that up further? Well, there are the physical elements. Guns, police uniforms, universal key to take someone's door in, more guns, shotguns, rifles, whatever you fancy. There's all the the squibs. We have to talk to someone about that. Book someone who will manage that for us. Sometimes we will use pneumatic air and bits of, they look like tropical fish tank pipes that we put a very condensed version of Ribena in, but this is a trade secret because it has to be food safe. And then we can hide that inside the jacket, and at the given moment we go pfft, blah, and the blood comes squirting out. It looks fantastic on film. So there's a whole lot of other trickery that's involved. And you may think, well, wow, £30,000 for, let's say, 2 months' work, 4 set days. Well, that's pretty good going. Well, yeah, but it's taken you, how long has it taken you to acquire the client? What has your personal investment been in this? I mean, you may be working for someone, some boss, somebody somewhere in that company has had to find the money, same as the video production, film production, etc. They have to find a budget, get the stuff, fill the shelves with products that they hope to rent out, and that's someone's money. And you're kind of working within that sphere, and you're going to get your £20,000-30,000 back for that one production. Brilliant, but one production is not enough. So the food chain within your SLT will be, well, we need to worry about the next one. So get on to the next one while you're already on site dealing with one. And that's pretty much it, really. The market has changed significantly. Airsofts have really revolutionized the way film production works, but they have also pushed a lot of the effect into post. And this needs to be clarified at the very beginning of the production, because if they are expecting the guns to look realistic as airsoft and there's no flames at the front or cases flying out the sides, if it's semi-automatic pistol, or if there's an SBR and you go brrr, brrr, if there's no moving parts, it doesn't look particularly realistic. But the guns themselves are just an add-on. If the script is rubbish, if the actors can't act, if the props don't look convincing, if the location is badly lit, if the sound is hideous, the fact that the guns don't look real is the least of your problems. So this comes us back to John Wick, and the chap who said, you wouldn't see anything like this in John Wick. No, that's probably true. The reality is, $100 million budget. For that, they will expect absolute top dollar effects and training and support and hand holding and everything that goes with it. At these lower end budgets, we have to do the best we can, often at last minute, very little notice, and just by portraying the firearm correctly, so that the DOP can shoot the best angle. All of them kind of look the same a little bit. I don't want to say that, they all look a little bit the same. You can do the best you can, and you can safeguard your fees. At the end of the day, that is very much what this is about. If you run into it as an enthusiast, you will find yourself very, very quickly either potentially exploited, or you have priced it so incorrectly that it upsets the apple cart for everyone else. And that's when this animosity kind of comes from in certain fields. We've not had it because we keep ourselves to ourselves. And, we are very mindful who we are and where we fit in. So if your client or you as a critique are expecting John Wick, well, you may be actually getting John Smith. So, I hope that's been useful. If there is questions of how you get into Armoury, ask them. I'll try to be not brutally honest with it because it is a difficult subject. My way into it was I found myself knocking on the wrong door for the wrong reasons, and I found myself working within a department I didn't really understand. But I was a very good competitive shooter, and I was a club secretary within quite a well-known organisation, and we ended up with a lot of firearms inquiries that had to have very specific, carefully worded answers, and we helped people along the way, and this is kind of where I am 25, 30 years later. Thanks very much.